Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to today's video where we're going to be doing something that I don't normally do on this channel, and that is a webcam review. In the time that I've done this channel, I believe I've only reviewed one webcam, and that was a pretty bad Logitech years ago. And it wasn't something I really was interested in getting into review-wise up until this new product came out, and that is the OBSBOT Tiny 2, which is an AI-powered PTZ 360 4K camera from OBSBOT. Now, this right here is not the first camera these guys have put out. Back in 2019, they put out the very first AI-powered 360 camera, which was the original Tiny 4K webcam. And that camera took off extremely well in the webcam area. Since then, a few other companies have tried to copy what OBSBOT has done, but have not come quite as close to what they were able to accomplish with the first camera. Now, with the implementation of the new OBSBOT Tiny 2, they have raised the bar even further in terms of what these little PTZ AI-powered webcams can do. Now, just to give you an idea of the video quality from this little webcam, it's what you've been watching the whole video so far. I'm actually filming this video on this webcam right now instead of my normal Canon cameras that I typically do. Now, I'm curious to know how many of you guys guessed before I even said it that I was using the webcam. One of the things that really stuck out to me was how well this little webcam picks up all the color in this studio space that I have. Typically with webcams, you're not going to pick up a lot of the background color when it's a darker area with darker colors. You're going to end up getting a lot of noise and grain. And that's something that I noticed with this webcam that it absolutely excels at. Now, I've put a lot of time and effort into getting the background colors that I use and the lighting that I use of myself perfect for use with my Canon cameras. And I honestly wasn't expecting to be able to cut this webcam on and do a few minor tweaks within the software and get it to look as good as what you're seeing right now. Now, there is no editing in post. I'm not doing any color correction to this whatsoever. This is raw coming directly out of the Tiny 2. Now, as good as this video can look, it is only one part of what this camera is capable of. In this video, we're going to go over all the other options that the Tiny 2 brings to the table in terms of webcam and how this unit is going to be a game changer in webcams as a whole. All right, now that I've changed over, we have the Tiny 2 software interface pulled up, and it's going to have every option you need to control this little camera, from the motion tracking to background blur settings to hand control tracking, voice options, webcam functionality, or virtual webcam if you want to pass it over to OBS like what I'm doing right now. You're going to have the ability to put beauty filters on, color filters, and just a lot more. And you're going to be able to do that all from this one piece of software. Now, the first thing we're going to see is your preset section, so that once you get some settings that you like, you can add them to the presets and be able to quickly swap between them at any given point in time. If we scroll down a little bit, you're going to have all of your tracking. So right now, I don't have any tracking on whatsoever. So if I move, it's just like having a regular camera. It doesn't really move with me. If I want this camera to move with me, I can select normal tracking with the motion. And as you see, the camera just moved. Now, if I move, the camera moves with me. And that's going to be no matter what you do. I could stand up and walk around this room, and the camera's going to follow me wherever I go. Now, one of the things that I noticed when testing the motion tracking of this is that it's extremely accurate. You can kind of move around pretty quickly, and it's able to keep track of you. Even in a lower light background room like what this is, the camera was still able to lock on me and track me with no problem. Now, down here, you notice that there are some other options you can do where if you want it to record only your upper body if you're standing up, if you want to do a headless mode where if you're farther away from the camera drops and will show your neck down and cut your head off, lower body and close up. Now, sitting at the radius that I am now, these options don't work the greatest because I'm just too close to the camera. Now, down here, you have your AI modes. Now, your whiteboard mode is going to be geared towards working professionals, people in the education sector, or anyone who is doing any type of whiteboard work. Unfortunately, I don't have a whiteboard to test this out on, but when you have it enabled, Tiny 2 can actually focus on the whiteboard and follow what you're doing on the whiteboard, or if you're using the remote control that is optional, you can use the laser from the remote control on the whiteboard and make the camera just follow along. Now, this can be a game-changing feature in the education industry or just the workplace in general, as it's going to make Zoom calls and online training just that much easier. Now, you've also got your group button where if you're recording a bunch of people at one time, that way it can kind of keep track of everyone who is in the frame. And you also have your hand controls, which is one that I think is pretty cool, because if you enable it, and let's say we select right hand, once I put my hand in the frame, the camera will lock onto it, and wherever that hand moves, the camera follows along with it. Let's say you're at a table, you're doing something like a product review, and you need to point at different things, the camera can follow along with your hand movements. Now down here we have some camera controls in terms of resetting the view so that you can reset it back to what it started at. You can go in for a medium shot where it will tighten up the camera just a little bit. And if you go to narrow, it extremely tightens up the camera. And then you can use your controls here to adjust it so that you can adjust it to where you are better suited inside the frame. All right, moving on to the image settings. The autofocus is something that I haven't really messed with. I didn't really have a need because the AI that's inside of this camera is absolutely amazing at finding focus and keeping focus on me and not something randomly in the background. After that, you've got your exposure settings. By default, this comes on auto. And the one thing you just noticed when I turned it on auto is it made everything a little bit brighter. Now, I personally don't like everything that bright. I find that it can have a tendency to blow out some of your highlights. So I like to disable that and then start adjusting my shutter and ISO according to the lights that I'm using. Now, this is going to be different for everyone based on what your lighting situation is. If you don't have the best lighting situation, you might be better off selecting auto, letting the webcam figure out what's best for you if you don't want to sit and play with it. Because I have controlled lighting, it gives me the benefit of being able to toggle these settings and then adjust it and kind of dial it in the way I want it to for this setup. Now below that, you've got your anti-flicker, which they have not enabled yet, but what this is going to allow you to do once it's enabled is if you have lights or something in the background that do tend to flicker, which none of mine do, you'll be able to enable that and keep the camera in sync so that you don't see that flicker. We've also got white balance, which by default is set to auto. I personally did not like the automatic setting on this, and this could be due to my lighting situation. I feel that it took too much color away from my face, gave it a little bit of green tint. Disabling it and putting it down to 5,000 Kelvin, to me, makes my color in this area look much better. And then down here, you can further dial that in with your contrast, your saturation, your sharpness, and your hue, which I've chosen not to mess with them at all. Your next tab is going to be your beauty tab. Now here is where you're going to be able to use filters for your face. You're going to be able to put your background blur on, as well as use different type of color filters. Keep in mind, every time you add one of these, it does consume more CPU. So depending on the age and the type of hardware you have, this could run better for some people than it does others. OBSBOT does recommend having at least a 20 series RTX graphics card for use with some of these filters so that you have the necessary compute power in order to process these without getting really any lag. When I tried these on my other unit in the living room that has a 1080 Ti, even though that's still a powerful card, when I enabled the blur, I could tell that there was a little slowdown. With the rig that's in here with my 3080, I don't really get any slowdown when I enable the blur, which I'm going to cut on right now. I personally don't really like the background blur. I found that once you start getting too far past like level 5, it starts looking really fake. When you have it set at 5, to me, that looks, pretty realistic in terms of an actual blur. But let's say if we put it up to 40, you can see that it already looks absolutely terrible. Let's dial it down to like 20-ish, 18. Still doesn't look the greatest. 7 you can probably get around. I wouldn't go past 10 in most situations unless you don't care about the weird blur around your face. Anywhere between 5 and the 10 is going to look more natural in terms of an actual background blur, like if you're using a real camera. All right, now down here in the retouch, we can do different filters. So if I put in the men filter, it's going to soften up my face a little bit, do some manipulation to the face, try to fix the color a little bit based on what it thinks it should look like. It's just like using one of the Instagram filters. You got classic, which, you know, is something some of the ladies might use. It softens the face up quite a bit. It's way more than what I would want. The men filter is still way more than I would want. And then you've got your native, which is kind of between the classic and the men, and is still going to be geared towards more of your ladies that are out there that just want to soften up the skin a little bit. Now, once you come down here, you have more control over the different things that you can do, whether it be body slimming, you can change your legs, shape, your waist shape. And this is going to be more so used if you're actually standing farther back away from the camera instead of sitting at it like I am right here. Now down here, you have your color filters, which you can go through different color filters and kind of get a different look for your video. The sheer filter is pretty decent. It essentially will just add more pop to your color, and you can change the level. So if we put it down to 0, this is what my camera looks like currently. Bumping it up to about 15 to me actually looks fairly good, but just like using the blur, it does use CPU power, so keep that in mind. If you're using a lower powered computer, this might not be a good option to turn on. All right, now in this final tab is where you're just going to have random device settings, where you can have the camera go into auto sleep. You can have sleep backgrounds for when it goes to sleep if you're streaming. You can turn the locking on the target so that it locks on you and doesn't randomly target something outside of you as a human. You can control your zoom in and out points, your zoom factors, your dynamic zoom, which you can use your hands to zoom like that, which is one of the built-in motion controls that OBSBOT put in, and it's fairly simple as you just saw. And with these settings here, you can do different voice settings. So for example, if you say track me, you've now enabled tracking, and you're back to where I was showing you earlier, where your tracking's on and your camera is going to follow you whether you move left or right, up or down. If you want to turn this off, you can say unlock me, and then it'll go back to normal, to where you are able to move around, the camera's locked, and it's not really going anywhere. With these voice commands, you can have it zoom in, zoom out, you can tell it to go to sleep, and if you had preset positions set like I was showing you earlier, you can tell it position 1, position 2, or position 3, and it will automatically pick that position that you chose. All right, what you're going to have up here with your preview window is, let me disable my OBS camera real quick. That way you can see the preview window. Now this is the OBSBOT webcam built-in preview window. And as you see, you can change your frame rate as well as resolution. You can record directly from this. You can take a photo, and then you can open the folder where all that stuff is saved from. And then you've got your microphone volume where you can mute your mic or control the volume. Now you can technically, if you want to record a video, record directly from this window. You don't have to pick something like OBS, like what I'm using. OBS just gives you a little bit more control if you want to have your video overlaid over top of something else. If you want to record just a straight up video, you can absolutely use the built-in OBSBOT video preview recorder and just make a quick, easy video. All right, now after all of that, I'm sure you can agree that this is far more than just a standard webcam. OBSBOT to me is absolutely going to try to shift the market with this product. In terms of pricing, it comes in at anywhere between $299 and $329, depending on where you find it. I believe they had it listed at $329 on their website, but B&H Photo, when I looked earlier, did have it for $299, which puts it right at the price point of one of its other direct competitors, which this unit completely outclasses for the quality that you're getting at $300. And that is the only thing you're going to spend. It's by far the best webcam that I have ever seen, and the best webcam that I believe is currently on the market. The only thing you're going to get a better quality than what you're seeing right here is getting something like a capture card with a camera, or one of the newer mirrorless cameras that let you directly plug into your computer. Either way, you're looking at minimum of $500+ to get into something like that. And then you have to think about the cost of lenses, extra batteries, extra cables for keeping the unit powered. So you can easily go down a rabbit hole. For someone who's in the educational field, someone who is in the workplace, someone who's just getting into streaming or content creation, you're going to be hard pressed to find a better way to spend $300 for a camera than what this is able to provide for you right now in terms of video quality. And with that said, I can only imagine that this is going to get even better as we get new software updates and new firmware updates rolled out, because they were able to keep up with the original version of this camera quite well with software and firmware updates and continue adding new features and tweaking the ones that were there. At some point, we're going to get HDR video with this camera, which I'm super excited to see, because that's really going to help out when it comes to lighting situations, to where you're going to get better darks and better lights and hold your details within both once we get the HDR mode put in. All right, guys, for anyone interested in this camera, there's going to be a link below in my description. That way you can find where to get this camera from. I would love to know what you guys have to say about this webcam. Let me know down in the comments section below. Is it something you're interested in? Is this something that you had already seen prior and you had just been waiting to see some samples from? What are the things with this webcam that excite you the most? Please let me know down below. As always, if the video was useful, please consider hitting that like button, as it helps the video and it helps the channel greatly. And if you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that bell notification. That way you get alerts anytime I put out a new video. And with that being said, until next time.